So friends, we are at a very important cusp of what I call as return of global colonialism, something which FICCI fought from 1927 till 1947. And in 2026, we are at one such cusp. And the fact that we are at such a cusp is very clear last night. And I'm not getting into politics, I'm just repeating facts from the speech of Donald Trump in the White House. He made 2 points which clearly identified that we are in a very different world. One, he said, whoever wins the war keeps the spoils. And two, if we get control of the Strait of Hormuz, we, the United States of America, will charge a rent. You are getting back to a world of true colonialism, and it reminds me, especially on this occasion, to how the British took control of India. In the early stages, East India Company was a pure trading company. It traded and made money. Then they had a superior technology, which is a technology of guns and gunpowder. This technology gave them leverage, and they sold guns and gunpowder to the Indian princes and rulers. And soon, the princes and rulers who had gunpowder and guns won in the battle with their opponents. So the negotiating leverage the British trading company had was technology superiority through guns. Soon the trader figured out that why don't I start acquiring territory and own territory as well? And the East India Company started owning states and kingdoms. And through that, you saw a trading company become the British Empire in India. And I see some parallels beginning to develop in the way the world is shaping today. And we all would like to see India as a true power. The fact of the matter is, at this stage, there are at least 3 powers with significant leverage compared to others. One is the United States, second is China, and the third, rising because of the geopolitics, maybe even Russia. And I see the challenges for even the continent of Europe as we see it today, as we go forward. So this is the world we are living in. And at this point of time, from a business and economics point of view, I see 2 possible scenarios coming into play at this point of time. The first is a scenario of what I call as the world post-1945. For the last 80 years, between 1945 to 2026, in this 80-year period, whenever there has been a crisis, we have seen a reversion to mean. Now, whether that reversion happens in 1 day, 1 week, 1 month, 3 months, 1 year, but every crisis is an opportunity for business, industry, and finance to take the downturn as a positive, because sooner or later, you will see reversion to mean. This is the history of the world for the last 80 years. So this is scenario 1. Scenario 2, which is a scenario of thousands of years prior to 1945, is that whenever there is a crisis, there is a structural change happening in the world. And we have seen it time and again. Lands conquered, rulers changed, fight between the church and the state, the fight between continents, the fight between small countries versus large. But in general, the world prior to 1945 was extremely tribal. And it was a rule of might, and he or she who had ability to take advantage of it was the winner, and structural change happened in the world. The Therefore, the question in my mind, friends, today is which of the two scenarios are we in right now? Scenario one, will we get back to reversion to mean? Scenario two, are we in a situation which is pre-1945, hundreds and thousands of years of history before that, where we are in the midst of a structural change? Frankly, I don't have an answer. I've tried to model it, and you can model it to come to business outcomes and put probabilities to each of the two scenarios. If you go by the recent history, the probability of scenario one is extremely high. And you may decide whether it's 50%, 60%, 80%, 90%. But even a 10 to 20% probability of scenario two changes the equations dramatically. Therefore, even if it is a low probability event, it's a very high impact event. And therefore, in our business, we are all going on a fundamental base case assumption that it is scenario one. But my submission here is, whatever low probability you put to scenario two, do not assume that to be zero, that we could be in the middle of a structural change of a kind we have not seen, at least in our living history.